So, I put up a poll around a week ago asking people what they thought about Nintendo adding old maps into Splatoon 3, and a shocking amount of people said that they were okay with Nintendo bringing Splatoon 1 and Splatoon 2 maps into Splatoon 3. This is really confusing to me because this doesn't make a whole ton of sense when it comes to how us as consumers are spending our money. So, allow me to tell you, my dear viewer, why Nintendo repackaging old maps isn't a good thing. So, for people that don't know a whole ton about me, my next favorite game right next to Splatoon is Destiny. And if you weren't aware how the Destiny community is extremely vocal on what they don't like, and one of the things they really don't like is when Bungie, the developers of Destiny, repurpose old content, because it's easier and cheaper on the developers while they still charge the same price that they do for new content. It puts the consumer in a bad position where they're all having to pay for repurposed things that they already bought. If you already own a new piece of content that you can play whenever you want, why would you want to pay for it again? I saw the argument that we'll have all these new abilities and weapons in Splatoon 3, but does it really matter? Do we really think that the Squid Roll and the Squid Surge are going to make that big of a difference on old maps that'll be so intense of a difference that it'll make us want to go on potentially 7 years of playing it as of when Splatoon 3 comes out and then going on even more? I think it's even worse for maps like Moray Towers and all the other Splatoon 1 maps that came back in Splatoon 2 to come back in Splatoon 3 because there are so many ways to already play those maps. If I really want to play on Moray Towers or Walleye Warehouse or Camp Triggerfish or God forbid even Kelp Dome, then I'd pick up a Wii U, or better yet, I'd close out Splatoon 3 and open up Splatoon 2. Not saying that those maps are going to be the ones that come back, but still, do we really want a bunch of maps that we've already spent 4+ years playing on to be there for potentially, the next 4 or 5 years between Splatoon 3 and what even ever comes after that? It makes a bit more sense when Splatoon 2 did it, because there were around 8 to 10 more million people that didn't get to experience those maps. The only maps that even have potential to come back in Splatoon 3 that would make a few maps make sense would be the Splatoon 1 maps that didn't come back in Splatoon 2. But even then, I'd really rather Nintendo not cheap out and just make all new maps for this all new location that they're trying to make. There's a seriously nasty trend going on in the video game industry that has gotten more and more out of control. And in the case of Splatoon 3, it's even worse, because it's a Nintendo game. And way too many people will protect Nintendo from whatever they do wrong whenever they do it. Well, I will proudly go out and go against the grain here and say that Nintendo bringing back maps from Splatoon 1 and Splatoon 2 is kind of wrong, especially when most of these maps really didn't come out that long ago. Splatoon as a franchise isn't even 10 years old yet, and they're probably going to bring back maps that came out 4 years ago? Even sooner than then? And let's say here, they only add back the maps from Splatoon 1 that didn't make it to Splatoon 2. And you can make the argument that it's easier to go and get Splatoon 3 than it would be to get a Wii U in Splatoon 1. That is almost valid, which is why I said earlier it would be slightly more acceptable if only those maps come back, and none of the ones that came back in Splatoon 2 or the Splatoon 2 exclusive maps didn't. But it all just loops around back to how it shouldn't have happened anyway, because Nintendo is advertising this game to have a new location. Why would I want to play a game in a new location that's just a bunch of the same old locations? I hope I might have been able to change some of the minds of the people that said they were happy about bringing back previous Splatoon maps in Splatoon 3. What this really comes down to is looking at what you as a consumer are spending your money on. Corporations should not be forcing you to buy things that you already own. If you want to play the new things that they make, they shouldn't have to make you spend money to buy old things so they can package out the less new things that they put in and still charge the same price. And it's not like Nintendo is selling this game any cheaper. Splatoon 3 is still gonna be $60, we already know that. Who knows though, maybe Nintendo will give us $60 worth of new content and then sprinkle some older content on top. This is still the same team that gave us Octo expansion, so my thoughts aren't that this game is gonna be bad because they're reusing maps. Though I do think everyone should be careful when you're spending your money here. Hopefully this isn't a bad omen for what's to come in the future of this franchise. But anyways, that is it from me, guys. What do you guys think about Nintendo reusing older Splatoon maps in Splatoon 3? Let me know. I think it's a good and healthy thing to discuss on what Nintendo is doing, as long as we all go about this in a respectful way that respects other people's opinions. If someone really is excited for older maps to come into Splatoon 3 for some reason, that is totally okay, and you are totally entitled to your opinion, no matter what I think about it or not. But wait, before you go, did you know that only 26.5% of people who watch this channel are actually subscribed? I know. That is way too little. So for all of my unsubscribed viewers, I have an offer for you. If you subscribe today, and today only, you will receive your very own Zenith 1986 TV model SB1327Y. No, W. Yep, you can get your very own one of these bad boys, but only if you subscribe today. Alright gamers, I will see you all later. Bye.